Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this first edition of the musical Mire that we've done in a long time. We've been having some audio issues, so one of the reasons we're doing this is just to make sure. Oh, there we go. Those that sounds good. Ryan, say something.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. I don't think you've ever or will have a more aptly titled podcast than Musical Mire, because that's what we found ourselves in last week. A very, very mired up musical podcast.
Okay. It's working. Okay, good.
Hey, yeah, there we go.
Okay,
I can hear my droning on voice.
Yeah, confirmation there. Yeah, your mic got really loud as well, which is good. Okay, so we're going to start the show proper now. So my name is Mark David Stallard, and this other chap beside me here is Ryan Jans. His middle name is also David, but he doesn't use it even though he should. And we are It's All in the Mind. There we go. That wasn't too bad. Considering lag, we're doing quite well. So as I said right at the beginning, we had some audio issues on Saturday. The main reason we decided to do this today is that we wanted to test out our system before we go live on Saturday with chronic pain. I wanted to make sure we don't have the same issues we had last Saturday. But it also has been a long time since we've done any of these musical Mires as well. So we want to just kind of outline what happened on Saturday. Won't spend too much time on that, but the topic we're going to be dealing with once we've done that is we're just going to talk about the current situation, COVID lockdown. We've social distancing. It's kind of difficult to really get anybody out to shows and that kind of thing. So, what are the options that we have to be live performing musicians? And I've got some ideas that we're going to be talking about for the Invisible Man channel as well. So, yes. So, let's just start with the technical. So, what happened? Cole's notes was the show started. We had Brandi Vezina on the show, and we were doing the show as we usually did. We're interviewing, having a nice conversation. She played a song. It sounded great for us. About what actually happened there, looking back at was that the audio started off fine, and then it very, very quickly just started to drop right off and then went silent. Now the thing was, it didn't affect anybody. Sorry, it affected everybody except for me. So everybody was hearing the questions, but all you could see of Brandi was just lips, or just miming. Really, you couldn't hear what she was saying. And I'm not really sure. We couldn't figure out what was going on. We were getting conflicting comments from the audience. One of them was, "Oh, it's quiet," and we had people on Brandi's side saying, "Oh, yeah, there's audio there. We've got it. It's a bit quiet, but we've got it." And then people saying, "No, don't have no sound at all." And yeah, so that's kind of where we were. We ended up, I ended up stopping the stream, restarting again, which kicked the sound off. And so we got 10 minutes at the end of the show with audio. And yeah, so any thoughts about the show before I continue with what I did to fix it?
We first and foremost want to give a shout out to Brandi and her band. If you caught the last 10 minutes of the show, you got to hear an amazing performance by them, and we do want to just acknowledge just how amazing and what a class act that Brandi was. We would be totally understand if someone was upset and said, "Well, you guys are total amateurs and have no idea what you're doing. I never want to do anything with you again." But she was very understanding. She was just rolled with it. Such a pro, and is willing to come back and try again. It was hindsight's always 20/20, right? Yeah, we should have done something like this midweek and tested everything, but between life, Phil's getting ready to move back up to Canada. Mark is I'm sure can find lots of things to occupy his hours, and I'm working full time. And as many viewers know, I have a little girl who whatever time work doesn't take up, my family takes up quite a good chunk of it. So we can make up all the excuses in the world, but that's again, like you said, the Coles Notes version. We should have been a little bit more diligent in testing. We just made some assumptions, and it unfortunately came back and bit us. But thank you, Brandi, and your band for being just amazing about it. Mark basically said to me, "Hey, take over. I'm going to troubleshoot this." And I was like, "Okay, so we'll get going." And it's very unfortunate because it was probably one of the better interviews that I've ever conducted. Viewers of the Invisible Man Show know that I have a very good talent of putting my foot in my mouth. But just had a wonderful, striking conversation with Brandi. It was just a pleasure to interview her. I won't give away too much here because we will probably do a repeat of that interview, and it was a gooder. And I'm hoping that we can just get into that rhythm again and just carry on, because it was a great interview. She explained a lot of her songwriting process for the first song that they performed, and it was an interesting story as to what it was. And we talked a lot about her background, her degrees, a lot of her Métis heritage, and it was just the more you learn about who Brandi is, you learn just how much of a great and amazing woman she is, and we were just thrilled to have her on the show. So we're looking forward to having you back.
Yeah, and it was I mean a double special guest, because the first, I think, other than Hamfest, who we knew a third of them. It's the first Winnipeg act that we hadn't met. So it's always exciting to meet local acts as well. So it was a double, super talented and local as well. Anyhow, she was absolutely amazing, and I did apologize profusely. Probably to the point of annoyance, I'm sure. She was absolutely 100%, bazillion% gracious about the whole thing. And unfortunately, we don't have any gaps in the schedule that we can't get back on until the new year. So probably January, we'll see what her schedule's like. We are just fully booked up until Christmas. So anyhow, so we'll give some news on when she comes back there. Now, what was kind of fun, I think there was a couple of things that went wrong in the background. Was we were trying out Zoom because we had, ironically, audio issues. And so my setup is slightly different, and I had to I use a program called OBS to do the broadcasting, and then in order to capture the sound from Zoom, I use a program called Voicemeeter, which then I feed back into OBS, and then that's how you guys can hear us. Now, right through the show, I could see that the levels on Voicemeeter were fine. I could hear through my speaker, so I could hear them perfectly fine. And I could see the levels on Voicemeeter going up and down, and they were right where they should be, about minus 10 decibels. In OBS, I have another dull dial that goes up and down, looks very similar, and that was showing me exactly the same thing. So I could see the signal that was going out, I thought. But when I went back, I was using another service called Restream, which allows us to stream to multiple services at once. So we're on my personal Facebook page, or on the Invisible Man Show Facebook page, the Invisible Man YouTube channel, I think DLive, Twitch, Periscope. I think they all say they're online. I don't know if anyone watches on Twitch and DLive. We do get some viewers on Periscope. So hi, if you're on Periscope, thank you so much for joining us. Everything was looking good. So when we realized that there was a problem, I dropped out and I started phoning around on some people that were online, trying to get hold of someone to confirm, are you hearing anything at all? Is it just us, or is it on Facebook or YouTube? But YouTube failed as well. It wasn't even getting to YouTube. And that was because Restream stopped doing that service to Restream to YouTube Live, which is supposed to go it was supposed to die this week, not last week. So that was kind of fun. And so, because I've got my new setup, Ryan joins before we go live, and there's an echo, and I'm thinking, oh crap, it's my system. Everything news on my end ended up being just his end. So we end up fixing that. But in the meantime, I made some tweaks, and one of those tweaks screwed up the sound. And I don't really know 100% what happened, but when I when everybody was gone and I was able to download some of the videos that were posted, I could. It was quiet where people were telling it was quiet, and we could hear it. And I could hear it where other people could hear it. But then if I rewound back in VLC, which was just a video player, it would go silent. And I'd go, hang on a minute, that's odd. And I put it back to where I knew there was noise. It was silent. So I had to just change a few settings in my PC audio, and I just picked a different voice meter setting, and it started to work. I don't know why. It shouldn't have faded out. It should have been. It's a computer. It should work, or it fails, right? It's not. It shouldn't fade out like that. So I don't really know. I know where. Well, the setting now that I have to pick in order for this not to happen again, and it sounds like we're going out. Anyhow, shout out to Ray from the 2-Bait Girls has joined us. She says, "Hey," and we're saying, "Hey," back. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, yeah, just so that most people can understand, we try and produce as best a quality show as we can. I've talked about it. I think I don't know if I've actually showed it off, but that's part of my rig right there. So I have power distribution, a headphone amp. You can't really see it, but in here's my little capture device, and then a graphic EQ, which is all wired into, I don't know if you can see it, that little soundboard right there in the corner. You can barely see it. I can't turn it anymore, otherwise we get stuff fall off my. So that's kind of the effort that we're going to go through. Mark's is a little bit less. If you want to think of it this way, Mark's is less complicated in terms of actual hardware, but his system is nonetheless, software is much the same patched together. So that's lots of areas for things to go wrong. The echo that we're having is, again, Zoom, new platform for us. Hadn't quite figured out the quirks. Turns out when I run the app, the way that the limitations of the hardware and the soundboard that I run through, it creates an echo. And we tried several times to different settings. I had plugs in and out and this up and down, and nothing we could do to get it to echo. And I was like, hold on, Mark, I'm going to join via the browser. I'm going to use the browser, the built-in browser app. Hang on. Come in. Hey, and I'm not hearing the echo. Oh, okay, no problem. Let's try it again with the app. As soon as the app is up, it starts echoing. So again, these are all just unfortunate growing pains, and we're sorry that Brandi was the one that her show was the one that got there. So
and she had spent so much effort. You could just see the effort that had been put in. There was had a fiddle player, drum player, a drummer, and another guitarist and whatever. Yeah. So that was really.
They had somebody there. They had somebody doing sound for them, setting them up in the room, getting them set up, because they'll call in. A guest can call in as early as an hour ahead of time to a half hour. They were about 45 minutes ahead of time, I think, and we could see the whole setup. They had a guy setting up mics and doing that, and they were by far the people who were the most prepared to perform live.
Yeah.
And that's a great segue. We'll talk about that a little bit later and draw some comparisons. Whereas, and we don't expect that from all our guests. If you're an aspiring musician, you want to be on the show, we'll have you on the show. And if all you have is your laptop and a guitar, that's fine. We'll make do as best we can. What we were finding is, particularly with drums and Google Play or the Google Meet, those high frequencies that are in the cymbals or the toms would just create such a smack sound, and it was just really jarring. And then of course, by the time
I think there's a lot of things. I think there's a lot of things going on there, because when we were just talking, when we were comparing the two, is that just what happened there when we started talking over each other, Zoom would just compress the sound and it would turn everybody down. So it was handling the sound a lot different. So now, obviously, we can talk over each other if we want to, which is great for me, getting the word in. So I mean, I'll say short story long. That's kind of what happened. We probably could talk a bit more, but Yeah. So the I think we've kind of covered that. We could continue longer, but yeah, on with the real show. The real show is really at Musical Mire. When we do these, we like to try and deal with topics and issues, particularly as they affect musicians. Because hopefully this is interesting for other people who aren't just musicians as well. But those difficult questions, and one of the questions is, in this current states with the lockdown, or with social distancing, with restrictions at venues and so on, what are our options for playing live? It really limits us there. Any first thoughts on that, Ryan?
Okay, so I'm going to make a really weird comparison here. I took my first flight in the COVID world today. I flew up to a little town called Gillum for work today, and I've done that milk run before, right? Where it's like you fly in, you leave at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and come back at like for 6 in the evening, and it's a whole new world. So it's not even about the only thing that's the same is the plane, right? Everything is different, right? Connecting flights, you're now deplaning and they're resanitizing the plane, right? You don't get to stay on the plane anymore. And what normally would be like a 15 or 20 minute layover in like a small town or like in the city of Thompson, so Winnipeg 2 hours, Thompson an hour to Gillum, or 40 minutes or whatever that flight is, and you're looking 3 hours flight time. It was like 4.5 or 5 hours for me to fly up from there. I mean, I wasn't getting there till midday. So we have to totally rethink of the way that we do things. And some of our musician friends, in fact, Amber Epp, a good friend of mine and also of the Invisible Man show, Mark, you know Amber as well.
Yeah.
Playing a lot of house concerts, small crowds, small venues. That's probably your best bet right now. I know that. So Amber plays in a band called Trio Bambe as well, and also Papa Mambo, and they have a lot of crossover. Members of Papa Mambo and other people in the Latin music community in Winnipeg have done lots of house concerts, and seeing lots of them because I follow a lot of them on Facebook, and they say, "Oh, we're here, we're there, or that." And in fact, I got a text message from my sister saying, "Hey, your friend Amber says hi. They were at a house party that Amber was playing at." So just probably the number one way. If you need to get in front of people, that's the way you're going to do it.
Right.
It doesn't seem like bars or venues, unless it's like a commercial or like a corporate sponsored event where you're on stage and nobody's going to be near the stage. You're probably not going to play those kind of gigs. I think house parties are probably, if you absolutely have to play in front of it, you need to be on stage. You need to have that interaction with people. That's how it's going to happen. You're going to have to do a house party. And if you're like, hey, I don't have a house, well, find someone who has a house and who wants to have people over.
Yeah.
It won't be hard to twist people's arms.
And if anyone's interested, It's All in the Mind is available for house concerts. We'd love to come and play there.
Indeed.
So another option actually is something that Cannabis Castle has been doing. So we've been doing with our friend Luce of the rock band Load, and also host of Cannabis Castle, which I've been working on. We've talked about this before. They've been doing what's effectively, they're calling it a curbside concert, but it's a backyard concert. So they got a sizable deck there. And yeah, that's the stage, and people then are sitting back and then social distancing in their little groups. And in case you're wondering, is it really social distancing? One of the shows we did was it Wednesday? No. What day are we today? Trying to remember when it was. Was it this week or was it last week?
Saturday? Was it Saturday?
Well, it was the beginning of September anyway.
Okay.
The police turned up because it was like 10:30. It's dark out. I'm assuming neighbours complained. They're outside the city, so the neighbours we're not on top of each other. And the police came in, had a look around, gave it a clean bill of health. So everybody is taken care of there. So that's one option. And the curbside as well. There's actually if you go, I think curbsideconcerts.com, I think, where you can book a guest to come book a musician to come and play at your place. I'm not sure what the arrangements are as far as a stage or anything. But I've seen actually one of our guests, Trista Shea, has done a lot of, or did, certainly at the beginning. I think she said she'd moved to a different apartment, I think. But she had set up her keyboard on her front deck and did a concert for her neighbors. So I've heard a few people that have been doing that. Yeah, so that's the, I think that's all that really comes to mind as far as doing your own show.
Unless you're feeling technically savvy, like Mark and I both have a background in IT and electronics, then you could do a live web concert like what we do. Then obviously you could set up cameras, do webcast. You could have someone look after just the webcast, and then your band could perform, and then you could reach as many people as you wanted, or as you were able. So that is also an option. That does take a lot more planning, and
well, yeah. Again, I mean, at different levels, right? I mean, I've streamed us, right? So Ryan, not me and you. I've streamed us doing a live show from Joe Black Coffee Bar, middle of last year, and all I did was use my phone.
Yep.
That was it. So that's how simple it can be. Just live streamed it. I forget, was it YouTube or Facebook at the time, but I live streamed it, and we were able to capture that. So it can be that simple. Or actually, I won't go and get it. It's behind the vortex here, which Ray says, it's really trippy. Actually,
she was also wondering if you were baked, because you called the drum player.
No, maybe no, I don't think so. Just tired. Yeah. So yeah, I think I got a little distracted there as well. So anyway, I've got a small form factor PC that I've set up with Windows 10. I've got the top of the line, well, cheaper though, but the top of the line Wi-Fi adapter. I think I paid about $30 for it, but huge antennas on. And so we can connect, should be able to connect to a decent Wi-Fi signal. We can plug it into the network if the venue allows us, and then just attach a webcam and it goes, and it does work. I've tested it, so it's just a matter of, so we can just pick that up and go. So I don't have to dismantle everything I got here. So I can just pick that up and go. Just the microphones I take. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So there are ways around it. You definitely YouTube and obviously the web are just huge treasure troves for how to set things up. If anybody's interested, I can tell you what I've done here, like with my Gator case. I actually designed this not to be permanent, but on the idea, because it's always been a goal of ours. Oh, sorry, I got it. No. There we go. Shimmy, shake. All right. And we've lost our one viewer now. Sorry about that.
Anyway. We're now attracting the wrong kinds of viewers.
Oh, I would say so. It's always been a goal since day one that we eventually would move out of the more studio controlled area. Obviously, keeping the studio control is definitely one thing, but we do want to. We had originally envisioned that we would do a sort of a variety show, and then we would get to a venue and we would set up, and then we'd either be hosts and play a couple songs and showcase it. I mean, there was a whole thing. There's a whole formula, and that's actually always constantly being retooled between Mark and Phil and myself. Yeah. But the idea was to create a rig that I could basically pack up, drop in place. Mark takes his laptop, plugs in the audio, and then we set up the webcam, and we're good to go. I have ports where we can plug in and do mixes for mics. I have fed through. We have a splitter for the headphones, so we can have up to 4 people listening at the same time. Like it was thought out. It was intentionally kind of planned that way, and then I just get to reap the benefit because it sits, on my desk, so I get to play around with a little higher end quality hardware. But Mark gets to do the exact same thing with the software. And really, between the two of us, if we hadn't told you that Mark's just using software and I'm just using hardware, or the majority of it's just hardware, I don't think you'd be able to tell that either of us were doing anything other than just set up with a big podcasting mic that you buy on Amazon for $150.
Yeah.
So
and actually, for everything that we've done, actually, I think we've either there are absolutely tutorials on YouTube. You could just do a search, but make it specific as you can. You want to live stream to Facebook, or audio setup for live stream to Facebook. Be specific as you can. There are lots of tutorials and lots of advice out there for you. So so don't let any of that, and just do each piece one piece at a time. Don't try and get everything all done perfect and wonderful. Just work on the audio, work on the camera, work on the real vortex that's behind me. That's fighting the forces. Yeah. It's not a green screen, it's real.
It is. I've been there. We used to do the show in the basement.
Yeah. So
I've learned to change in that.
Yeah, so I'd like to just talk a little bit actually about the live show. We say live, I mean we're live now, obviously, but the live music show that we would do at venues. We got to find a good name for it, but the idea is that my vision has always been we want to create a show that is the destination. You're not going to see one of the three bands. You're going to see the whole show, right? So that's why it needs to be a variety. It needs to keep you entertained from beginning to end. You've got three great bands. Maybe you'll stay at a pub or a club and watch three great bands. Maybe you will. What often happens, and as performers we see this, is that you open and there's no one there. Just the people you brought, and then you're done, and maybe your fans leave. The second band sets up, their fans turn up, so you've effectively got three, and then the same thing happens with the band at the end. So the odds are you're just going to have three bands with three different audiences, and the goal is to create a show where everybody wants to be there for the whole thing. So the different bands would have to be a similar genre, or at least genres that work together. That will have the usual high quality music, but you'll have the Invisible Man elements to it. So we'll do some very, very short interviews. We'll get them to get the acts to tell us a funny story, or we're going to be doing some entertaining stuff as well between the acts. Ryan and I will be performing live, depending on where we are in the whether we're going to be at the beginning or at the end will depend. We've got whether we bring a drummer and a lead guitarist with us, which we kind of have at our disposal now. Not permanent members necessarily. I actually played last week at Cannabis Castle. Brennan Saul. Ryan couldn't make it because it was a Saturday. Oh, that was just last Saturday, right? Ryan couldn't make it because of the timing, and it was all last minute. And he could make the Friday, but couldn't make the Saturday. So we ended up. So I played without. It's all in mind. Play without Ryan. So it's really just me. Kyle Hauser from Load jumped on with the guitar and noodled a bit, and then Brendan Saul played drums, and it sounded actually fantastic, except for the last song where the chords for Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds just escapes. Carl couldn't quite figure out what I was doing. It is a complex song, but the choruses sounded fantastic, and I got everyone to sing along. Anyhow, so it will really depend on where. Obviously, if we're going to be a four-piece, we wouldn't be opening, particularly if we have a couple of solo acts there. But we will be opening the show regardless with the Invisible Man song, maybe a dance routine as well. Anyhow, we'll definitely have some humor. There'll little bit of banter between the three of us. And of course, then we're also going to have a whole lot of merch there as well. We're working on some posters, some collectible posters, and a book of images as well that we're going to make available. So that's kind of what we're aiming for, and it's going to be a work in progress for a long time. I think when we do our first one, we'll say, we could done this different. It got a bit slow at this point. We've got to do something to spice it up and that kind of thing. But at the beginning, we've got a clear idea of what we want to do, and hopefully we'll have some news on that early next week. But it's finding a venue, and someone that's not going to cost so much money we can't afford it anymore. But I mean, if someone wants $200 for a room, but we can only the room can only fit 50 people, we think maybe we can attract 30. We can't afford the room unless we're charging $15-20 a ticket, and I don't know if people will want to come out for $15-20 a ticket. Certainly for an untested show, as ours will be at those first ones anyway.
And the hard part is too now with the reality of COVID, even though a room might hold 50 people, they're limited to like a third. So that means
I had actually XQs in mind, which is just Ellis. It's on Ellis, so it's not too far away, about 10 minutes in that direction. Okay. And that will fit about. I mean, it's a huge room, and I think that they fit. It's 150, 200 people, but they will fit. But they can have 50 people there. With the social distancing. So that's kind of what I have in mind. Obviously, you got someone like Joe Black Coffee, but I don't know if anyone's allowed to even sit in there. Right? I don't.
But they'll limit how many. Yeah. Generally, they'll limit how many people, and it's weird. Everybody's kind of doing the mask on, mask off kind of thing, where they're like, okay, well, I'm wearing my mask and I'm reading my book or magazine, and then close it, take the mask off, drink my coffee, like 3 or 4 sips, put it down, back on, back to reading. And so like it's a weird kind of thing. And and again, we'll have to dig a little bit more into this, is if a place like XQ's can hold 150 people and they're going to charge $200 for the room, which is actually not an unreasonable rate for 150 people capacity. That's pretty normal. But if we're reduced down to 30 to 50 people, are we still going to get hit for $250 to rent or $200 room, right? So are they going to reduce?
We had a great deal with
price.
You'll recall we had a great deal with the Loft, where they just let us take the stage. Yeah, you want to play on Wednesday night? Yeah, it's open. Come on, put up on a show. So that was great for us. We put on 2 or 3 shows there. Yeah, at least 3 shows. And that was great. So there are likely to be venues that will say, "Great, let's have some entertainment. We can maybe attract some people in or keep people around longer." So they may be there. They may be willing to do that, but we have to get out and actually talk to the people, or give them a phone call. See, where when you want to negotiate a room for free and they want $200, it might be best to just put a mask on and go over there and talk to them and see if we can come up with a deal. Yeah. So that's kind of what we're planning on. With technology is together. It's just a matter of now getting the room and then deciding who our guests are going to be. And it'll be multiple guests. It won't just be us. So it's all in the mind, and another band that we'll have 2. So we'll have at least we'll have 2. So it'll be a lot of fun. Just got to figure out when we're going to do it. I've got some ideas for some other shows for the Invisible Man. Do we want to talk about that now? Is this a good time? Or did you have something else to say about the other show?
No. Let's talk about the Invisible Man real quick, and we want to go with that, and then bring her into land.
Yeah. So I have an idea. So Ryan hasn't. We haven't talked about this in any detail. So just for everybody out there. So Ryan's going to hear a lot of this stuff for the first time, or almost all of it. But what I was thinking is the news this morning. On the YouTube news, there was a warning. I think it was a global news or whatever, and the headlines were second wave, possible further lockdown and whatever. And I think, oh great, just when we're planning to go out and play live again, what can we do to actually attract people to the show? Because we were hoping that the Winnipeg audience would come to our live shows, and and then we'll play the live shows that will attract people to come and watch the show on the Saturday. And so I was thinking, well, why don't we just think about different new content that we can add to the Invisible Man channel. And so here are some ideas. You've the first one you've kind of heard before, Ryan. This was always my idea for before we had, I'm going to back up a little bit. Before we came up with the Invisible Man idea, which has morphed since we first did it. My original idea for a show was a show that I had entitled "It's All in the Mind Opens For." Each week we would, and I actually wrote a proposal for Shaw Television for the local access, and they didn't reply. So whether they didn't take me seriously or not, I don't know. But I followed up and they didn't give me an answer. But the show it would go this way. So it would be we would have a guest on the show. Ryan and I would introduce the guests, chat a little bit. We would play It's All in Mind. We'd play 2 or 3 songs. We're opening the show. Then would have a little bit more of a 5 or 10 minutes conversation with the band. Nothing too deep, not to the depth that we do on the Invisible Man show. And then the guest will do 6 to 8 songs, so an hour show. It'll be a watered down version of the Invisible Man show that we want to do live at a venue. So that's that one. That one you are familiar with on that one there. Now I'm going to just throw out some ideas. I just did a bit of brainstorming. What are other things we can do? And I was thinking too is that a lot of what we do, we've got to be careful because Phil's got his 2 o'clock, his show every day, 2 to 4. So doing a weekday show is going to be almost impossible for us to get Phil involved. You're working all the time, right? So we could do an evening, which was when we usually do Musical Mire. We don't usually do them this late. So it's maybe something I can also do during the day. So I just got to decide which of these I want to do, or maybe I'll try all of these ideas and see which one sticks. So maybe midday, 1 o'clock before Phil's show, I'll come on for half an hour, and do these shows. So here are the ideas. And you're welcome to jump in and do the show with me, Ryan. I'm not excluding you or Phil. It's just
no, that's fine.
Right. So we could do and It's All in the Mind weekly song. I got to get some titles for these. So it'll be It's All in the Mind, this week's song, where I would perform one of our songs. I'd then talk about go into depth about the song itself. So with lyrics, where did the song come from? Look at the chord progressions, why I made some decisions in that writing, why you did as well, Ryan. Some of these songs written by you as well. Chord variations, tempo, the difference between the chorus and the verse, song structure, that kind of stuff. So a bit more of a technical, but it could be interesting just to break that song down and say this is why it works, or maybe this is why it doesn't. But so that's one idea, and that'll be one show. So that could be a 5-minute show, could be a half an hour. But it won't be an hour because I don't know if I can talk an hour about one song. Maybe one or two I could do, but most of them it won't be that long. The next idea was I got a slight title, the Invisible Review, where we review a song, an album, a band, or a musical. So maybe we can pick our favorite song from our favorite bands. I don't think that if we. What I had in mind was there was a musical from the 1960s, Summer Holiday, Cliff Richard, and it was a big hit because he drove a big red double-decker bus. He likes as an English singer with his mates around Europe. So it was a bit of a novelty, but the songs are great. It's a really good musical, and it falls apart in the third act. But then don't all musicals. But I thought that'd be nice to talk about that one. Won't be able to play any of the music, but put some pictures up and that kind of thing. We've got. I
actually like that idea a lot because it's all about creating diverse. Obviously, we're going to have diverse content, right? We have our musical Mire, which we're doing, and then we have. So we're trying to create a little bit of something for everyone, right? I actually have good friends who are theater performers, so I'm sure they would. I'm sure they would be happy to have us review a show of theirs. Anything to get it out, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I like musicals. I like musicals. Get me some free tickets. I'm rather partial to opera as well. If you know anyone, I'll take some opera tickets.
Opera. I haven't been able to make any headways in the opera yet.
Well, Yeah, my source is no longer gets the tickets, so it's been a few years since I've been. Anyhow, that's a big sideline. Yeah, so I wanted to continue to do the Invisible Man short videos. Some of them are so you've seen them if you've been on the on YouTube. We did post them to Facebook, but they're available on YouTube. Links. If you go to theinvisibleman.ca, there are all of the videos that we have produced are available on the show's page. If you click on the link. So we had one where I'm reading a book and the Invisible Man taps me on the shoulder and I can't see him. Oh, class acting, nothing but the best acting, tremendous acting. And then we did another one with me and Ryan. We're playing catch with the ball. The ball gets stuck in the air, and it's a practical joke that the Invisible Man's playing on us, and it's all very, very funny. So I'll continue to do some of those. Maybe do some actual full animation. I mean, not live, no live elements. I mean, so I'll play around with that, see what I can do. So that's another idea for more content. Like I said, it's kind of what we're doing already, but I haven't done anything on those lines for a little while. We could do an Invisible Man update, so we can do like a behind the scenes. So behind the scenes of the Invisible Man, things that have gone wrong, things that have gone right. So rather than so it would be kind of an extension, a bit more structured version of what I've been doing on the weekend. I'll sometimes get my phone out and I'll just say, hey, this is what we're up to. But something structured though, so we'll actually have something that's actually planned rather than just talking off the cuff. Another idea would be do a tour of music venues around Winnipeg. So take a camera out, take some shots, and then talk people. Oh, this is what it's like here. This is fun. Even if we're just going outside and say, here's the picture here, and then talk people through that particular venue, what they kind of music they kind of play. Maybe we could even interview the owners. Just an idea. It's going to be some effort. It'll be some efforts, but could be worth it. And of course, then my last idea that I've written down is music news. Actually, doing a show that this week in music history, or this week in music news, and this week in music history. So if it's a slow news week, we can do the history as well. And it shouldn't be that. And none of those, other than the music venues one, should take an awful lot of prep. But anyway, so those are some ideas for things we can do to add a bit more content and make our channel a little bit more valuable. That's some ideas anyway. Not promising we're going to do them, but we could be. I'm going to be trying some of those out, particularly the song. Picking and It's All in the Mind song. I'm kind of keen to do that one first, I think.
Yeah, no, I think that would be really good. I rather like the idea of doing the reviews, and even that idea of like this week in music history. Those are great little taggers that you can just put up on Facebook and just to engage your audience to be like, and we could even rotate it through. It's Phil's week this week, it's Mark's week this week, it's my week, and just rotate it through, or rotate per day, right? I mean, that's also cool, right? So Mark does every Monday, and I do every Tuesday. Phil does Wednesday, and we just cycle through.
Like I said, I think there'll be Phil can speak for himself, but I suspect he's got his plate full with his show every day.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's that kind of thing could be fairly easy to prep. It's just a matter of making the time, deciding on the time and doing it. Because a lot of those updates, so those casual updates that I do, I think, oh yeah, I want to talk about that, and I'll go through my head, and sometimes I'll rehearse out loud as well and then I forget. Oh, I wasn't talking. I was just talking to myself as I'm working through the topic, and I don't realize I've done it live. So I haven't done it live. So so a set time to do it every week or every day, whenever we decide to do them. Yeah, for sure. Or if you can pick one, and it could be yours. I'll do a different one, or we can do another one together. Yeah. Anyhow, so those are some ideas. Like I said, Ryan didn't know about. I hadn't talked about any of those really, other than the ones we were. Other than the show.
What we had originally planned, like the idea of like the Invisible Man opens for. That's really where it all started, and I think my original reaction to that was, I don't know if we can pull this off, but as we've grown over the last year of just solidly doing every Saturday, committing to every Saturday, having guests, learning how to interview and interact with people, I feel more and more confident that this is something that we can easily do.
And the it's all in my Opus 4 idea as well. It's not going to be the hour-long conversation that we often have on the main show. Right? It'll be, what's the name of your band? It'll be a handful of softball questions. Go play some music, because we've only got an hour, and we all want to do a little bit of, we all want to play a little bit of music. It'll be very concentrated music. So in that respect, it'll be fairly similar to the Adam Feasy show that we did a month or so ago. Adam and Hellcats. So that was fun. I enjoyed doing that one. That was some great music, and we got some conversation between as well. And it's always pleasurable actually when you got a musician that says, "Can I just play music? I just want to play."
Yeah,
they just want to play.
Talking. Yeah, exactly. So
okay,
that's great.
I think I've exhausted that. My ideas anyway for now. I'll probably come up with a few more, but I think I might be inclined to do something midday at some point. Probably not going to be tomorrow, but starting next week sometime we'll figure it out. I'll practice it a few times before I go live, but as you should, don't do it cold, because it always goes wrong.
Okay. Practice some more.
Yep.
And then consider your live performance practice as well.
and then practice some more.
Yes, and then practice even more.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're good. It's getting late and we're tired.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. So thanks, Ryan, for joining me this late. We'll go back and check the feed, make sure everything went through right to the end.
Yep.
And that'd be great, and we should be good for Saturday. So thank you, everybody that's joined us. We have to see a few people on most of the platforms here. Thank you very much for joining us there, even if it was just for a few minutes at a time. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you all on Saturday, 2 p.m. right here, wherever you're watching this. This is where it'll be, 2 p.m. So every Saturday, 2 p.m. This Saturday, we've got Chronic Pain from Winnipeg, so there'll be a lot of fun as well. So thank you very much for joining us, and we'll catch you all in a couple of days. See you then.
Indeed.
Holy invisible